I'm Megan. Thank you for being here with me, YouTube yogis and patrons who support me. All of you, today's practice is about what we sometimes refer to as your core, your torso. I use core to describe any muscles that support your spine. So I'm going to call it around the core because we're going to do the front, the sides, and the back, everything that stabilizes the spine. And we're going to do it in a somatic yoga style, which means we'll be on the ground the whole time. If you want to put something on top of your mat, like a blanket, feel free to do that. The great thing about somatic yoga core work is you can really target certain muscles, particularly what we call the four deep core. If you take your hands and rub them around your lower abdomen, just above the navel center and below, and all the way to the sides, we have our transversus abdominis. That's part of your four deep core. We have the pelvic floor down at the bottom where your sits bones are, your diaphragm, and your multifidus. So, diaphragm is the muscle of respiration, and your multifidus, which runs along either side of your spine. So, you can look into, I have more videos about the four deep core. But this is a great practice for waking them up, maybe even before you do other practices. So let's come down onto the ground and we'll get started today. Take your feet into a bent position, what we call constructive rest. So you're going to keep your knees in line with your hip bones and your toes in line with your knees, and drop your feet down. And you don't want your feet too close to your buttocks, because what will happen then is your tailbone will lift and you'll press out the curve in your low back. You might even take a hand underneath your low back and feel that. And if you walk your feet too far forward, you're going to start to feel your low back arch. So you're going to have too much arch in your low back, almost like a pulling sensation. So find that Goldilocks happy medium for your feet and just let it settle. We're going to be doing a movement called arch and curl, but we're going to use the arch and curl to help us to engage transversus abdominis and pelvic floor. Before we even do the movement, there's a breathing technique that can also help. So place your hands on your abdomen. Let your back and spine and your feet and your head and everything touching the ground, your shoulders, just release into the ground, and see if you can tell when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. And begin to breathe in, and if you can, through your nose. And as you breathe out, make a shh sound, like you're quieting someone, right? We make that SH sound. And as you do that with your hands on your abdomen, notice if you feel a little drawing in or a little compression in your abdomen. So we make the breath in through the nose and a shh. Nice, slow. How does that sound on camera? So take a few of those and just see if you can feel this area in your abdomen drawing in on the shh. So if you're not feeling it, something that can help or to increase that feeling is as you're breathing out, it's making that shh sound. Think of that arch in your low back. It's like an upside down hammock, and push that into the floor. Or the other way to think of it is lift your tailbone a little bit. Your pelvis will tilt towards your head. And you'll feel more of a shortening from the pubic bone to the navel center. So it's this drawing in from pubic bone to navel center and the two hips. So let's try that again. Take a breath in and shh. So we want to feel that little tightening. I'm not going to get deep into pelvic floor here because I have specific practices for that. But if you're familiar, this is also a practice where on that shh, when we're making that pressure into the low back, lifting the tailbone, we can draw the pelvic floor muscles in. So you can look into those videos if you're not familiar, but know that the transversus abdominis and pelvic floor are like twins. They like to contract on the exhalation together, and they like to release or stretch on the inhalation. Take a few more just to find that. So this is going to be really important once we start to increase the movement. So now you'll see we'll start to feel a little bit more of the abdominal increase. So we say abdominal pressure is something we sometimes use to stabilize ourselves. So on the inhalation, if your hands are still there, when you're making that breath in through your nose, push your tailbone down or take that larger arch in your back. So we're purposely expanding the abdomen a little bit more. You might even, if you can feel pelvic floor, think of your pelvic floor spreading towards your feet. And then as you breathe out, the opposite, we're making that shh and drawing in. Take a few more of those. Inhale through the nose, and your back will arch away from the floor. Exhale, press the floor into the ground, make your sound. So it's hard for me to make that as I'm talking. I'm going to do 3 without talking. Inhale, arch, exhale. Inhale, arch, exhale. Last one. If you're not feeling it, the other thing you can do is on the exhale, slightly push your heels into the ground and imagine pushing your feet forward. That might help you to find it on that All right, so we're going to add on to that, assuming that we're feeling that contraction, that circular contraction between navel center to pubis and the 2 hip bones. It's like a bag closing up, right? Now we're going to take the hands behind the back of the head, make a little basket, and support your base of your skull. Let your arms open up. So if this is contraindicated for your neck, just keep doing the other part, or you can do it without lifting the head. I'll show that first. So now as you inhale, press the arms into the ground, arch the back, press the tailbone down. So what you're going to feel is a stretch all the way from your collarbones to your lower abdomen, and your backside is engaging or shortening. And then as you exhale, press in as you were doing. You can still make that sound if you'd like, but now hug the elbows towards the ears. Just start with that, and then you're still picking up the tailbone. So inhale, arch, press arms into the ground. Exhale, curl, hug elbows towards the ears. The next step, if it's okay for your neck, is we want to check to see where you're looking. So we should look straight up above the nose. We really don't want to tuck the chin towards the chest, or notice if your throat is getting shorter. You want to keep the throat long and open and the natural curve in the neck. So I think of reaching the crown of my head back and gaze up towards the sky. So we inhale, arch, and as you exhale, you're going to squeeze and pick up the head. But again, I'm not coming here with the head like a traditional sit-up. I actually want my head out here. The more the head sticks out, the more the core has to hold you up. So we inhale, arch, exhale, reach through the crown of the head, look straight up, let your core lift you up. Inhale into the arch, press the arms, press the tailbone. And if you want, you can be exhaling and shh. At this point, you may not need that anymore. So you can take more of a breath in, full breath in on the arch, and just breathe out. If you can now, breathe out through the nose. And what you should sense is the inhalation, obviously stretching the front of the body, but what we're looking for in activating the core is the exhalation. You should feel this tightness all the way through the front body, even around the ribs now. You're getting into your intercostal muscles a little bit. Take about 3 to 5 more rounds. Inhale, arch the back, press arms down, press tailbone down. Exhale, lift up. Keep your gaze straight up towards the sky. So the work is in lifting the weight of the head. Inhale, arch. And your head can be heavy in your hands. Exhale, curl. Come down slow. That's part of it, is a slow release on the inhale. Lift up slow. Curl. Another thing I check for is that there's not too much tension building in the legs, because what sometimes happens is the legs are trying to help support. And if your legs are getting really tight, shake them out, let them release, and then see if you can use more of these torso muscles to lift up on the exhale. I'm going to challenge you on this last one. Inhale and arch. Exhale, curl up, and see if you can hold that position, but keep breathing. So what will happen is the abdomen is, dare I say, in lockdown. We don't like that term, but the abdomen is contracted. See if you can move your breath up into your chest and take a few breaths there. Are you still breathing? Can you feel that structure, that contraction through your abdomen, the stability? And slowly release the head down. Each breath out, just release maybe an inch. And can you keep the contraction through your abdomen, maybe through pelvic floor if you're feeling that? Your breath has moved into what we call structural breath, up into your chest. And once your head gets down, release the head, release the arms. You can still have the ability to hold this taut. We call it bracing, and then release it completely. We're going to do one more of the bracing before we leave this position. So hands behind the head. Hands behind the head. Inhale, Press the elbows in the backs of the arms and shoulders down. Press tailbone down, arch the back. Exhale. Lift up. Keep that bracing, especially through the lower abdomen, through the ribs. Move your breath up higher in your chest. Still breathing. You can keep the pelvic floor engaged, drawing in towards the navel center. As you slowly release the head, so let you should be able to wiggle wobble your head around, your shoulders are relaxed, but you can still feel that contraction through your lower abdomen, maybe your ribs and your pelvic floor. And then voluntarily take a breath in and release it. All right, we're going to stay in this position and do one more. And this next one, we'll get a little bit more into the muscles around your ribs and your intercostal muscles. So the difference is we're going to take just one hand behind the head. We'll start with the left hand. And then think of where your right leg is. Same movement and idea, but just crossing the body. So now as you inhale, you can push the back of the arm into the ground and you're still going to arch. You might even push the right foot into the ground to wake it up because it's going to be involved in this movement. And then as you exhale, you're going to curl again. Just the left arm will lift in or hug in, and you're going to lift up the head. Once again, not tucking the chin, look straight up. And imagine bringing your elbow towards your knee and your knee towards your elbow. So cross body, left elbow to right knee. Inhale and arch, and exhale. Curl. So if you're not doing the sh sound, it's nice to do a nice slow breath out the nose. Feel that warmth leave your nose, and then feel the warmth stay in the center. Inhale, arch, and exhale. Look straight up and curl. So with this one, I like to play a little bit. The first few, I keep the elbow more in line with the left side of the body, right knee in line with the right side of the body, but you can play with this idea of as you come up, doing more of a cross, so trying to touch the knee to the elbow, and then you will be changing the shape of your neck more, turning towards the right. And notice the difference. If you come straight up, do you feel more quality of equal engagement through the muscles around your ribs and your abdomen? Versus when you exhale and cross, you might feel a little more action in that left side of your ribs. Take 3 to 5 more on your own, inhaling, arching, and exhaling and curling. So waking up those core stabilizers. Hold your spine up. Very intuitive muscles, but they like to be felt. They like to express themselves and know that you're listening. That's the way I like to think of it. We'll do one more round. And on this last one, again, you can hold it. Think of that bracing idea. Keep that engagement through the core wherever you feel it. Move your breath up more to your chest. You can keep your leg in even. Slowly release the head down. The arm, I can relax my neck, but I'm still engaged. I can even feel the muscles around my left ribs, my lower abdomen, until I say, okay, it's time to relax. Take a moment and just wiggle, wobble your legs from side to side. Formal name windshield wipers if you're familiar. We'll just let them go back and forth. And then pausing, even just for 3 to 5 breaths for the magic moment. You can take the legs out long if you'd rather. And just feel the two sides of your body. Might place your hands on your heart. Is your heart going faster? Do you feel any warmth in your body? And then let's go to side 2. So feet back on the floor in that constructive rest. Your right hand will go behind the back of your head. Feel your left foot, and as you breathe in, press the right arm and shoulder into the ground. Your tailbone, arch your back. Press the left foot into the ground, maybe just to wake it up. Say left side, it's your turn. And then as you breathe out, nose up towards the sky. Squeeze the arm in towards the ear and lift. And just start small. See if it's these front muscles that are carrying you up. Exhale and lift. Inhale, arch. You can still try the shh if that's helping you to feel to lower the transversus abdominis, but now we're working more up into the muscles around the ribs as well. And again, the idea of going straight up, elbow staying on the right side of the body, knee staying on the left side, or doing more of a inhale, arch, exhale, cross body. And I know a lot of times if you're more used to like gym versions of these, you see this really fast movement. I actually find it more challenging and important to move to your breath because these muscles respond differently whether you're inhaling or exhaling. And transversus abdominis and pelvic floor really are meant to grip and activate on your exhale. But the slower you go, the more challenging it is, right? And I just cheated and tucked my chin. So I got to watch that. You can watch that too. Inhale, arch. Exhale. So as I'm lifting up, I think gaze staying up or crown of the head reaching back behind me. Get some nice action in the muscles of the left leg and your hip flexors. You can take a little rotation, see if you can really feel the muscles around your right ribs, intercostal muscles, internal and external obliques. And take one more round. Inhale, arch, press arm. So we're going through that full cycle of arch and then curl. And this time, see if you can keep those muscles active and voluntarily release them when you're ready after the head has arrived into a comfortable place, the arm, the shoulder. The last thing to let go of is these muscles in your core front. And then let them go and relax. All right. Take a moment. Let's take a full body stretch, or what I call full body yawn. Reach your arms overhead, stretch through your toes. You might feel your back arch. Big breath in, breath out, and sigh. Let go. So we're going to turn over and we're going to work through the side body. And in doing so, let's go on to our right side first. If you like to have a pillow or something underneath you, absolutely do that. I use my arm, but we want to keep the neck so it's in a neutral position. So if you are using a pillow, we don't want to have the head way up here so that the left side of the neck is shorter than the right. You're going to stack your knees and you're going to bring your thighs 90 degrees from your spine and your shins parallel to your spine, or run them along the edge of your mat if you've got a mat down or a blanket. So this one, we're going to work into those side body muscles. That also includes your multifidus. It involves the legs and the arms. And we'll take, these are all positions, by the way, that we're going to use our hand on our head. That's something I like too. So, take that left hand, wrap it around, and imagine your head's like a big bowling ball. And you're going to place your fingers, anybody out there a bowler? Place your fingers just above your right ear. So I don't want to be to the front of the head or the back of the head this time, but right above the ear. And now you can feel your left side and think of breathing into your left side. And as you breathe out, make a sound like you're blowing, really blowing hard, blowing out a candle, whatever you're blowing away. Breathe in and think of breathing into, you can place your hand there too if you want. Breathe into your left lung. And notice how your right side will lift, your left side expands, and then can you feel that contraction, that whoo sound or that blowing out is going to help you to feel contraction through the left side. Breathe in one more time. And all right, let's add some movement to that one. So wrap that hand back around if you moved it. So now we're going to inhale, lift up. You might even stretch your elbow and your hip away from one another to get more stretch through that left side. I like to go through the full range of motion from muscle stretching to exhale. Now, when you lift up, keep looking straight, head in the same position. You can, or hopefully you found those muscles, and just breathe out your nose. So there we go. Oops, I automatically did my foot. Let me show you that one. So if you want to get the legs involved, we do what's called the mermaid tail. So as you're exhaling, your knees stay together and you're going to lift up just the foot. So the whole movement looks like this. Inhale, and you're going to fill your left side, stretch your arm and hip away from one another. Exhale, lift the foot and lift the head. Let the head be heavy in the hands. And then inhale, lift And open up that left side, stretch it out, feel your ribs spread. Exhale, lift up. Again, going nice and slow. Inhale, spread the ribs. Exhale, feel the ribs come towards one another, all those side body muscles. Check to see your head is comfortable, and if not, if it's straining your neck, it will also strengthen the muscles in the side of your neck. Bonus. So, but if you're getting strained, check to see where that hand is, that it's not behind your head, and you can let your head be heavy in your hand. Exhale up. Inhale down. Take a few more movement. Connecting with your left side. Last one. And on the last one, see if you want to take a hold. Take a few breaths there. Find where can you breathe. So you're going to notice it's going to be a little harder to breathe into that left lung because now it's compressed, right? You might have to breathe into your right lung. This helps us to learn that we can breathe into one lung and then the other. Take the elbow back if it's cheating and coming forward. And then slow release, a little bit at a time. And once you're down, we're going to do a second movement while we're in this position. And this one involves more of a stretching for the rib cage, but it's also involved in core stability. So once again, using the hand, this time the hand's going to come back to the back of the head like we did previously when we were on our back. And this is a rotational movement, keeping the knees together. As you exhale, think of dropping your elbow towards the floor and rolling onto your forehead. So you're going to roll onto the ground, left elbow to the ground. As you breathe in, start to lift the left elbow, but I'm not just moving my arm. I want to rotate the upper torso. So this is a nice stretch for that left side that we were just opening up, but we're also activating the muscles because muscles can be activated when they're long or short. So you're rotating on the inhale, coming back slowly on the exhale. And though the arm is involved, I'm thinking of moving from the rib cage, from the torso. Take your left shoulder blade to the ground on inhale, and then lift that left shoulder blade up on exhale. You might feel your knees slide, let them slide. And sometimes there's some tightness you'll come up against. It could be in your ribs, your armpit, the front of your shoulder. It might be in your hip. Just go through that slowly. Exhaling down and inhaling into the rotation. And just play with how far you can go comfortably using your breath. Once again, I like to focus on breathing into the left lung. So you can think as the left lung fills with your breath, it's already expanding. And that allows you to roll over. Exhaling back. Let's do one last one. Inhale. And then this one you can rest and stop there for just a few breaths. Maybe feel your left side. Nice little stretch after doing the side body. 2 more rounds of breath there. If it's too much pulling in the shoulder, the hand could also be on your rib cage. Next breath out. Come back to the center position. We'll switch sides. So for you, you can just roll onto your left side. I'm going to turn this way. So once you're on your left side, feel free to use a pillow or something under your head. I usually find my arm works just fine. Bring your knees up so that your thighs are 90 degrees from your spine and your shins are parallel to the front of the mat or to your spine itself. Just pausing there for a second. Let's start with the breathing. So maybe before we take that wrap of the head, take your hands to your right ribs and take a breath in. You can think of breathing into your right lung, and as you breathe out, blow out that candle. So we breathe in and can you sense that feeling of compression or contraction through your right side? So it's really nice to use our breath because your diaphragm, which is your engine of breathing, is one of the 4 deep core muscles that it helps to wake up these other muscles that are supporting you. Take that last one. And now we'll take the wrap. So take your right hand around, wrap it around. So one thing I check for is that my nose isn't forward of my sternum. So a lot of times we start there. Take the head back so your nose is in line with your sternum, elbow up towards the sky. Take a breath in, and you can stretch your right elbow and hip away from one another as you breathe into your right lung. Take a breath out and lift up. Think of bringing your hip and your elbow towards one another. Inhale, so now there's still arch and curl here, right? You're arching, your left lower body is shortening as your right side stretching on the inhale, and exhale, right side shortening. If we want to add the leg into this, inhale and arch, exhale, lift the foot. And you don't have to, you can focus on just those torso muscles. Inhale, arch. I've been doing this for a while, so it's hard for me not to do the leg, but you can focus on just the core. Check your neck that it's not coming forward. I like to think of taking the base of the head back, or also think base of the head in line with your back body. Let your head be heavy into your hand, though we can get a nice little workout in the right side of the neck, strengthen those neck muscles. Inhale, let the right side fill. Exhale into compression. Inhale, stretch. And exhale. Let's do one more in motion. Exhale, come up. Either do another one in motion or you can hold there for a few breaths. I like to think of releasing slowly, like each breath out, I release maybe 25%. So take your time coming down. It's really important to be able to connect with your muscles and sense when they're engaged, when they're completely relaxed, when they're stretching. So notice, can your head come down, maybe even your arm, but you still feel some contraction, some engagement through that right side. And then you decide when to release it. Pausing for a moment, we'll go into the rotation on this side. So now, take your right hand more to the base of the skull or wherever it suits you. And we'll start with the exhalation. You're going to take your right elbow down to the ground and sort of roll towards your forehead. And then as you breathe in, feel your right shoulder blade. Draw your right shoulder blade towards the ground behind you. It may not touch, that's absolutely fine. You'll feel a nice stretch through the front of the chest, through the right side, maybe the right hip. And then breathe out and roll back. You can let your inner thighs slide on one another. So inhale, open into the rotation. Exhale, close or fall towards the floor. You can really help to make this movement by breathing into your right lung as you're rotating. Think of it like a balloon. If you fill your right lung, it starts to float up and over. Inhale, float and rotate. Exhale, close. Take a few more in motion. And you might feel like one side is feeling it in a totally different place. I know on my first side it was more up in my shoulder and my chest, and this side it's in my right hip. That just gives me an opportunity to say hello to my right hip, make some kind comments, and let's take the next one into a hold. So if there's too much pulling with the hand behind you, you can place your hand on your ribs and let the elbow come to the floor. We're just going to hang out here in this rotation for a few breaths. Unfortunately, a lot of times, though, some of the core muscles can be tight or can be weak. What we do have tight oftentimes is the pectoral muscles, so upper chest, from that rounding when our shoulders come forward. So this is a nice way to release those and encourage some of the other muscles that support our spine to come to work for us. 2 more rounds of breath. And we'll rotate back. We're going to be transferring onto our belly, so you can just flip over. I'm going to turn a little bit and come onto my abdomen. So last side, we've done the front side, and we've done our side bodies, as I like to call them. Now we're going to do the back side. So what most of us think of as our spine, right? So coming onto your front side, just shake your legs, shift your hips from side to side. Feel your thighs and the tops of the feet rolling into the floor. And we want to do our best to get the tops of the feet to the floor. So we're not rolling the heels out to the sides, but tops of the feet and the middles of the thighs on the ground. And take your arms into whatever position feels good for you at first, because we just want to connect with our breath. And so with this one, the last few breaths were about focusing on the exhalation and making those noises. Now we're going to focus on the inhalation, because we're going to be doing back bends. And if you can bring your breath into your ribs, your chest, and your lungs, think all the way through your front body. Think of your breath as buoyant. And as you breathe in, just a slight little lift. I'm not changing the position of my neck, so you can be resting on your chin or your forehead to find your most comfortable neck position. I'm going with the chin. But as you breathe in, float forward with the crown of the head and slightly upward. And exhale. Release back down. Inhale, lift up. And exhale. Down. So this is a really breath-centered movement. If you think of filling your body and floating up instead of pressing it. And the other thing is, we want to try to keep, what tends to happen, especially for any low back pain, is the low back muscles are like, they're always getting the red flag and saying, go, 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 right? So, or I should say green flag, go. We want to kind of keep those quiet. So if you let your chest float up, crown of the head forward, and it's not neck either. I don't need to look forward. I'm still looking at the floor. You'll notice more action through the whole length of your spine, not just that low back. That's what we're looking for. Exhale down. So this, I call it a baby back bend. My arms are relaxed. I'm not in any way using my arms to come up, using the spinal muscles, and the breath floats me up. So we're going to take this into one more position, but just check to see that it's comfortable for you to float up on the inhalation. And next time you exhale and come down, turn onto your right cheek. And you're going to take your left hand and place it somewhere underneath your right cheek or your forehead, wherever it comes into contact that's comfortable for you. I have a microphone I have to play around. So now we're going to add this cross body action like we did on the front side, but it's going to be your left shoulder to your right hip, or think of your spine upper left back, lower right back. So how we're going to do that is notice your right leg, reach your right toe long, and on a breath in, lift just the right leg. So what we're looking for here is, can you engage just the right side, meaning the buttocks muscles and the gluteal muscles in the back of your thigh? Can the left leg be on holiday? So just the right leg engages as you reach up and release down. So once we find that, just that right side engaging, releasing, we add that upper body piece. So feel where your head's resting on your hand, and on a breath in, you're going to lift your head, your arm, so it's like your head is stuck on your arm, and your right leg. And exhale, come back down. So imagine, and if you're pushing into your right arm, you can take your right arm to your side with the palm facing up. So that's on holiday, as well as your left leg. So that it's still the inhalation into the chest. That's what's starting me lifting. But now I'm adding the head coming up and the right leg. So visualize yourself engaging from left shoulder and right hip. And imagine where in the spine you can feel that cross. So the muscles activating in the left upper and the lower right. That signal crosses somewhere in your spine. And as you exhale, checking to see everything is releasing. particularly if you do hold chronic tension in your shoulders or in your low back. We inhale and we lift up. You can test it. Test the water, see how high you can lift and still release. Check in to see your right shoulder staying quiet and your left buttocks. That's something I have to focus on. My left side always wants to be in the game. My right side needs a little more attention to wake up. And you may find that in your own body. We'll do one more and we'll take a hold. So next inhalation, lift up as high as you want to go. So the hold will give you an opportunity to check, can you release the right shoulder, the left buttocks and thigh, and feel the engagement through the upper left shoulder, arm, and the right buttocks, hip, and thigh. Slowly release down 25% at a time. So feel yourself releasing those muscles very willingly and let it go. Relax. You can shake that out again. And I am going to turn towards you so you can see me doing these lifts. You can stay right there. We're just going to switch sides. If you need to rock your legs in between because your low back's feeling tight, feel free to do that. So right arm this time is going to come to a bent position. You can place your hand underneath your cheek or somewhere around your temple, your forehead, wherever it feels comfortable for you. And first, just checking on this connection from your right shoulder to your left hip. And I've got my left arm down at my side because I'm encouraging it to take its vacation now. So feel yourself from your left toes to your hip and just see what it feels like to lift up the left leg. Can you feel engagement through the back of the left leg line? And what we often find too with this one is, I'll show it from this side, is that the hip will lift up. You want to keep the front of the hip. You can even place your left hand underneath the hip bone in the front. Keep the hip on the ground and think of lifting from the inner left thigh. As this is, though it's not part of the torso, the buttocks muscles and the hamstrings are really important stabilizers for your torso. And we often cheat. We find out they're weak. Usually hamstrings are not tight, they're weak. Well, they could be both though. So we want to feel that active engagement in the buttocks muscles and the back of the thigh. Glutes and hammies. Get that going first through that left side and see if your right side's being quiet. And then we'll add the upper body. So head is on the hand. Breathe in, let your breath lift you up initially. And feel that crossbody action of right shoulder to left hip. Exhale, come down, release it completely. Inhale, float up. Exhale, slowly float down. So I like to think of giving yourself to gravity very slowly. Inhale, pulling away from gravity. There's levity in the breath and in the lift itself in the body. Exhale is gravity. And feel that connection from upper back on the right side and the lower back on the left side. All the spinal muscles. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale. Come down. Let's do one more and we'll take our hold. Inhale, come up. Reach through your big toe. Think of lifting from the inner thigh. Not cranking your neck. Keep your neck in a comfortable position. So you want to feel like you're lifting from your right shoulder and left hip. Hold that. See if you can release your right leg and left arm if they're trying to get in on the action. And come down 25% at a time, each exhalation. Feel yourself giving in a little at a time to gravity. All the way down. Let go. Told you no standing in this one, no kneeling, no sitting. We're going to roll right over onto our backs. Take your time. Feel free to roll over in any way that feels comfortable for you. And we're just going to release some of those muscles. So the other way to play with core that I really appreciate is more of an intuitive core practice. So if you just take your arms and legs up towards the sky and move them in any way you want, you're going to feel your core muscles just by moving your arms and legs. Because as you start to roll to one side, your core is going to try to save you, right? And then you start to go to the other side, and your core is going to save you. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to breathe like a shh or a. So just move your legs. You might extend your legs out, extend your arms out. Notice what you feel now. Is it more alive? Just roll around very playfully. Besides, this is a good way to release things. Extend. So close your eyes. You don't have to watch me. How can you move your arms and legs so you feel your core supporting whatever position you're choosing for them? I like a little intuitive play here. And then come back to the center. We'll just take a moment to pause and feel. You can keep your knees bent or extend your legs, whatever's more comfortable for your low back. Place one hand on your belly and one on your heart. Might feel your heartbeat. Notice your breath. Sense if there's any heat in your body, or at any point during this practice, was there heat in your body? And if you can visualize the entire torso, all the way around, the front, the sides, and the back. And all those postural muscles that when we work this way with them, it's easier for them to intuitively support us, so that some of the other muscles that might be coming online too often that cause pain can relax more. And that's how these practices can help you. But for now, just being present for 3 to 5 more rounds of breath anywhere in your torso. And being grateful for the stability of your spine. It often takes a bad rap. We always think of the back as problematic. Your spine is incredibly intelligent and strong and mobile. So thank you to your spine and to all the supporting muscles. And having said that, you can roll to one side to come up, or if you want to rock on your spine, if you're feeling a little playful, take a couple rocks that you're using your core. You can cross your ankles to help yourself, hold the backs to the thighs. Just give yourself a little spinal massage. And find your way up. Thanks so much for joining me for this practice. Maybe you're sitting up a little bit straighter now. Maybe when you get in the car, you'll have to readjust your mirror. Things like that happen. Just notice how you feel in your body, and keep practicing. Keep being with me. I appreciate it. Peace, joy, love, and light.